What is going on, guys? It is your boy Crypto Mikhail here, coming today with a FPGA update, guys. So today we are going over the E300 and the new firmware that they have released. This specific E300 is actually from one of the newer batches, to where the heat sinks that we went over in a previous video about the update and all of the upgrades that you could do for it, as well as the new firmware video we did, I think, a week ago. But this one already has the heat sinks on the board, as well as the new firmware is already installed. We'll have a video coming out a little bit later of how to install the heat sinks on the back of the board, as well as how to get the newer firmware by going into their Discord and messaging Flying Panda and getting the correct firmware by proving you have done the work of upgrading the heat sinks. But we don't need to do that in this video. This one's already done. So we are just going to dive right in and kind of show you some of the tuning capabilities that I was able to do. So here is the E300 as it sits right now. It is not running currently. I wanted to show you the current standings of the voltages as they stand so far. So I have pretty much tuned this one out as best that I have been able to achieve at just the basic 700 on the core clock. But on the VCC, the best rule of thumb is to, like, if you're going to go for like 675 on your core clock, run 675 on your voltage, and it will ensure that you don't really have any errors, and you can increase your core from there or decrease your voltage from there as well. So in the standpoints that all of these boards are actually tuned on 700 core clock, right, as you can see right here, but they are all not running 700 on the 700 millivolts. I'm actually was able to tune it. I started at 650 and I worked its way up from there to kind of tune it and see what board is better than the others. Clearly we can see that board 1 and board 2 are actually some of the better boards as they currently stand, being able to run 700 millivolts or 700 core clock for less than 700 millivolts. This one was actually a little bit less efficient than the rest of them, of course, by 5 points or 5 millivolts, but nonetheless, it's actually able to run extremely well and efficient, and just as efficient as we've seen in a previous video. This person was running 700 megahertz on the core. Their VCC is a little bit lower than 700, but it shows that inside of the miner, also because you're pulling less voltage than what you're saying you can, right? When you're applying 700, you're actually letting it also apply for voltage timings, but we don't need voltage, so it does kind of come out to be a little bit less. So let's go ahead and start the miner real fast and get this bad boy up and rolling. Fan speed I left on 100%. We'll get her up and running and we will see what she's doing. Alright, so the bit streams have loaded successfully. 0, there's 2 and 1, and we are getting shares. Now we'll just kind of wait and we'll let it hash for about 10 minutes or so, and then we will come back and evaluate the hash rates and see what we got on the voltage on the watt meter out in the well house, to kind of compare it against the other person's 660 watts for 16 gigahashes, 16.7. So we'll be right back. Alright, so as you can see, we've been up and hashing for about 12 minutes now. So, and we are pulling 5.572 to 5.573 per board, and that is pretty on par with what this person was getting about per board, 16.72, 5.05. So we're actually pulling same amount of hash rate, but the best part is 620 watts. So we are only pulling 620 watts on this particular setup as it stands right now. Now, I find that pretty freaking FA. For 620 watts and pulling almost 17 gigahashes for this, for the E300. This is the VU35P model. Now that's dang good, in my personal opinion. So remember, we are running 700 on the clock, on the core clock, 695, 675, and 683 on all of the FPGAs. So like every FPGA is a little different and has a better setting than the others. Kind of click it and refresh it a little bit. Board temp 75 is the highest because that one is actually pulling more watts than the rest of them. For 693, 695 is what it's set at. So it's running a little bit warmer. Definitely these clocks won't stay when we're at the facility. Personally, I mean, like it says, keep it under 80C for longevity, and that would be kind of the goal, is to keep it down. So once it gets to the farm, we'll have to reevaluate all of these clocks because these are running in my well house right now, just to kind of tune it and kind of get the feel of the new firmware before I put it in a warmer environment and start having to down clock it to see what we can achieve there. But nonetheless, it's up and hashing. It's pretty happy, and I'm happy. I hope you're happy. And yeah, so that is pretty much it for today, guys. We just wanted to go over the firmware, test it out, see if we can tune it and get it tuned a little bit better, and see what we can do. So we will try and push these things into what they call animal mode, which is like full bore. 750 is like the max. So you can push them all the way up to 750. So I'd be curious to run it at like 730, 740, but only whenever we officially dunk them into immersion liquid, because that is one of the plans for all of the E300s for our customer at the family mine, is to dunk them all and get them as cool as physically possible. And at that point, we'll be able to almost hit 19 to almost 20 gigahashes per E300. It's pretty awesome. So we'll catch you on the flip side, guys. Hope you enjoyed this video and this update of the newer firmware and potential ways to tune them a little bit better. And we'll catch you on the flip side, guys. Thank you for tuning in to the journey of these E300s. Much love. Peace out. Remember, you can get $125 off using the coupon code Mikkel125 at ospreyelectronics.io for the VU35P model of the Osprey E300. Much love. Peace out. Stay savage. And happy hashing, guys. Yeah.